Are you a pro wrestling fan? Then odds are at some point in your life, you were a backyard wrestler. In this new series, I'm going to take you through how we came from this to this. It's a long story, covering nearly 2 decades. But if you're a nostalgic person missing the backyard days of yesteryear and a simpler time of the 90s and early 2000s, this is the story for you. This is Backyard Wrestling Cinema. Welcome back to Backyard Wrestling Cinema. This is episode number 3 of season 2. And when we last left off, drama was already starting to unfold as a number of the members of our roster were beginning to hate original member Tommy Thunder and myself, who wrestled as Denver Street. Now, when this episode kicks off, we were trying out some new things, trying to figure out the lay of the land in this backyard. And one of the things you'll notice is we were in the process of repainting the entranceway, which was just old scaffolding that Ricky's parents had. And Ricky wrestled for us as Rico DMF. At the time, Rico DMF was the B4W World Champion, but he was the leader of a company called the BWL.
Viewers of B4W Wrestling. As you can see up here, I've made some changes at the arena. I don't like that B4W stuff.
Now, we're in that age where every wrestling show, no matter where you turned it on, it always opened with a talking segment. So as teenagers growing up in that era, we were very much influenced by that style, and we were no different. Most of our shows, especially starting with the TV run, would open with somebody coming out to the ring or in front of the camera and stating their issues or airing their grievances.
Come up the pay-per-view, dead end. Could be a little bit of the unification. 2 titles. I don't have the other one right now because Tommy Thunder's not here and can't really whoop his blum.
Our very first show, our TV pilot, the B4W crew was attacked by a company called the BWL. We were in the midst of something called the BWL invasion. The BWL actually took out homeboy Joe Slice, who was a longtime member of the B4W.
What is it, yes or no? BWL.
Oh! Oh! The bunch of dogs! They are picking apart. This is out of control.
And during that attack, they also took out Travis Lee. Now, we hadn't seen Travis Lee since that attack, and he'd be making his first appearance back and getting a B4W title shot against current champion Rico DMF.
Doing fine, sir. You think you come up and bust up my knee? Think you're all big and bad? Let me tell you something, I accept your challenge.
That's good because, you know, I didn't bust up your knee. I hit it, but they didn't get the job done.
You can tell how old these clips are and how old this show is based on the ringtone alone.
What? Oh. What is going on? Rico's cell phone has gone off.
Hello? Yeah, I'm kinda in the middle of something here. But, you're right. I'll be in a little bit.
Who is calling Rico in the middle of a match?
Yeah, I'm going there.
So during that match, Rico got a call from a mysterious person. We weren't sure who it was. And the idea was it was going to be the mystery financial backer for his group, the BWL. Now, BWL stood for Budget Wrestling League, and it was actually Rico DMF's company that he ran in that same backyard years ago. Unfortunately, nobody really listened to him, and he had a tough time running it, and he enjoyed doing our show a little bit more. So he just kind of dissolved the BWL, and we turned it into a storyline for our show. But that mystery backer for the BWL would be a recurring theme, and we would find out who that person was in the coming weeks.
Rico going? He just took it.
Back here.
What is he? Rico is leaving. And we got that phone call. What is going on here?
From the beginning, we weren't sure how many of the BWL members were actually going to stick around. We were hoping we would get them all because now with a TV show, we didn't want to have to go back to our old strategy of wrestling as multiple different characters every show. But just in case they weren't going to stick around, we already started to create some dissension within the BWL members.
Look, hey Rico, I don't really appreciate what you were saying early on in the show. If it wasn't for us, mac and cheese would have took you out a long time ago. Yeah, Rico, without our help, you'd be nothing. Nothing, Rico.
you darn sure wouldn't have that belt either.
You're gonna be nothing just like these boys are gonna be in a couple minutes.
Before we became B4W, our original name was the HWF, which stood for Hardcore Wrestling Federation, or so we think. And two of the guys who used to wrestle with us were Damage Inc., Tim the Enforcer, and Joe D of Misery. And they would make their return on this episode and take on the High Rollers, TJ Money, and Mr. Benjamins of the BWL.
Oh, is that?
He's going for his finisher! Oh, powerbomb Benjamin.
Benjamin's off the ground.
Now, the championships that TJ Money and Mr. Benjamins are holding are actually old Canadian and Universal Television titles that they stole from my character, Denver Street. They put a big X over them, and they were claiming to be the tag team champions, even though at this time, we didn't have recognized tag team titles. We were building to a match between my group, Mac and Cheese, myself and Tommy Thunder, and the High Rollers, Mr. Benjamins and TJ Money. Of course, since we were building to that match, somebody had to interfere in this match. So myself and Tommy Thunder would jump the High Rollers and beat them down to build up to our pay-per-view match at a show called Dead End. And the idea was to find out who was the greatest tag team of all time.
In Backyard Wrestling.
Speaking of that Dead End card, myself as Denver Street was going to be defending the B4W United States title against the BWL television title, and the champion at the time was Mumbles. So I decided to give Mumbles a match against my partner, Tommy Thunder. This wasn't just going to be an ordinary match, this was going to be an I Quit match, which was probably not the best idea because Mumbles' entire gimmick was that he didn't speak English, and there was really no way for him to quit.
Oh!
Come on, Mumbles!
Am I making a Trying to make
Say I quit, Mumbles!
I quit!
Say I quit! I quit!
I quit! Tommy Thunder just quit!
In the end, Tommy Thunder just kept repeating over and over the words "I quit" until the commentator decided that he had officially quit the match. Back then, we didn't have an actual referee, so it was up to the commentators to call for the finish. We did another thrown together match where Damage Inc. would take on Tommy Thunder, and it was kind of clear at this point that you could see why the roster was starting to hate us. Myself and Tommy Thunder were all over this show. We're getting multiple matches, and if you look at the beginning of the show, Rico DMF had half a match, and we're in his backyard. We have all the titles. I'm the commissioner or the president of the B4W. We're just all over it. And I could start to see that there was beginning to be an issue between us and these new roster members. And if we wanted to keep these guys, we needed to put together a show of good faith. So we added one more impromptu match where I would take on Mr. Benjamins and Travis Lee. And the idea was that I was just going to win. But I knew going into it that I was going to put the belt on Mr. Benjamins. And I did this because I wanted him to know that he was just as much a part of the show as I was.
Benjamin's breaking it up! Oh! 1, 2, 3! Mr. Benjamin?
He was genuinely shocked, as were most of the people there. And I'm fully convinced if I didn't do that, he would have been gone, and a number of the BWL members would have been gone in the next couple of shows. It was a chance to show them that they were just as much a part of the show as we all were. And it was a lesson to myself that I needed to start trusting people outside of our original core group. Because this show was going to continue to expand, and we needed people we could rely on. And you've got to be able to rely on people other than yourself in professional wrestling. And that's just one of the many lessons I learned along this journey, because I was still so naive with many of the problems that we were about to face.
Mr. Benjamin's getting to the action here. Tommy Thunder's in the corner.
Looking for that Samoan drop. Oh, nails him.